Good morning. Welcome. Oh, let's see here. I'm trying to get this up so I can read things a little better with the phone all the way over there. I'm going to need this up in order to see what y'all are saying. I saw Mayor in here. I don't know who else is here yet. All right. Did it really do the image backwards? That's so funny. I could have sworn I got that image frontwards. Oh, and now I'm going to hear myself. Uncensored Christian and Andrew and Mayor. Good to see all y'all. Very cool. Good morning. Let me get this pop-out chat rocking so I can not look at myself. Here we go. Awesome. I hope everybody's having a good day. Good to see you. Yeah, I thought that title might spark some interest. I don't know how many of you have read this. Anybody ever read or listened to this? This is probably one of the vanguards, one of the original books in the whole area of like Christian fiction or Christian like fantasy type stuff. And I'm sure there's been stuff before it. Well, I mean, you've got C.S. Lewis, obviously, right? And Tolkien has his insights in that area as well. But this was a little more like, this wasn't fantasy. This was more like realistic, kind of stuff. Everybody's saying hi. That's a good thing. It's always good to see bears hanging out, being bears. Hope everybody had a good weekend, by the way. Did anybody do anything unique over the weekend? Oh, you're a serious Tolkien freak? I'm somehow not surprised by that, Mayor. You're of an intellectual bent. You're an intelligent guy, and you seem like you would enjoy taking a delve into some of that stuff. I can't say I blame you. It's been fantastic. I'll be honest. I don't think I've ever fully read all of those Tolkien books. Well, I mean, Tolkien just goes deeper in his world, Um, so it's understandable, Lewis did some great things, but it was much more oriented toward kids. Uh, it's classified. That's awesome. Oh, Salvatore, that's a good thought there. Yeah, Salvatore did some great stuff. I did read all of the Icewind Dale set years ago when I was in Iraq. It was recommended to me by one of my former brother-in-laws. He said, you got to try out this Dritz Do'Urden character, see what's going on here. And I was like, man, after reading all that, I blazed through those books, by the way. All of the Icewind Dale stuff, blazed through that in maybe a week or two. It was less than that. It was probably a matter of days. I read as much as I could in individual days when I had time off out there. Um, right, exactly, Mayor. You're completely right. And so some of their stuff was definitely like pioneering for that whole area. But then Frank Peretti, kind of took that and he had just been building up stories, different stories that he'd tell with kids and things like that. And he sort of wrote this on a whim, never expected it to go anywhere because there was no real market for what he was putting out, this Christian fiction thing. And for it to get kind of mysterious and behind the scenes of what's going on. I think that's what I wanted to talk a little bit about today. So for those of you who are familiar, that's what I wanted to find out. Who's read or who's familiar with This Present Darkness by Frank Peretti? Anybody? And I saw clips of that. I want to see more of that because that looks very interesting. I want to see that film. The book's new to you, Andrew. Definitely worth a read or a listen. Frank Peretti reads an abridged version, if you can get a hold of those, and he's maniacal. I mean, he's whack job. He's certifiable, but he's hilarious. And he does all the voices for every character. There's angels, there's demons, there's humans of all types, and he does the voices for male and female, everybody throughout there. This is long before there was a Z, right? Not that there really is a Z yet. Hate speech. This video just got demonetized. Oh wait, it's not even monetized yet. So, um, at any rate, let's see. Okay, if you have a link, feel free to toss it my way, bigdrumbear@gmail.com or whatever you like to do. I'd love to check that out. Yeah. For Eddie. It's all good. It's Greg. Yeah, if you haven't read any of Frank's stuff, hey, Kika, what's going on? What's dark? A book by a man named Frank Peretti called This Present Darkness. If you're not familiar with him, great. Pender, good morning. We're talking about Frank Peretti's This Present Darkness this morning. That's what this is. I just saw that the thumbnail image came in reverse. So, sorry if that was a little confusing. I wasn't supposed to do that. Yeah, The Oath was, and he writes really good stuff. He's got a lot of really great books. So his first couple or so were This Present Darkness and Piercing the Darkness. Those were some of his early ones. Hey, no problem, Steve. I was feeling a little bit rough, but man, I was just ready to get up and be with bears. That's a good way to be this morning. Counting shekels. One day, my friend, I too will count shekels. I will be happy to do that, even if it's like one. I will own a shekel. That's probably what, I don't know what the shekel to. Well, shoot. From all those Jew checks. Yeah, just the National Jew Foundation. Being a Jew, you automatically get shekels. That's just how it works. All right, what is it? Shekel to, let's see. Shekel to US dollar exchange. Wow. Let's see here. I would have thought it was more. So I guess the dollar's worth more than the shekel. One Israeli new shekel equals 27 cents. Huh. That's shocking to me. Let's see. So let me just get that right. Let me just double check that because I think I'm understanding what I'm reading. Let's see. Where'd it go? Yeah, I'm just that's not something you thought you'd tune in for today. He's gonna look up shekel exchange rates. Yeah. Oh wait, no, I did have it wrong. Something was wrong there. So I do it the other way around. And what it's saying is it's $1 to 3.64 shekels. So, wait, no, okay, so that would be right. No, I had it right. Okay, I was confusing myself. You think I'd know how to read numbers by now. I know how to play music and do other stuff, but when I do math with like something worthwhile, I'm kind of, oh. Yeah, it's insane. I would have thought otherwise. Huh. That's funny. Yeah. To pay Steve to be a shill. Well, I guess I'm in that party too, but I haven't seen hide nor hair any shekels for me, so I don't know what's going on. I also am a fan of the nation of Israel. Yeah, it's almost as bad. Well, I'm sure won or yen are even worse. Good night. Anyway, so little side trip. Yeah, right. Come on, but you know when their shekel's worth a quarter, what are you gonna do? Maybe that you would think they have some money though, but they're busy like stopping themselves from being exterminated from all the countries surrounding them that think they have no right to exist. So that's probably a hamper on things. Not saying they're perfect, not saying I agree with everything they do, but yeah, right. I think they're probably choices they make that I'm not a fan of. Just like I'm not always a fan of everything that happens in this country, but I have a right to not always be a fan, as do all of you. So, This Present Darkness by Frank Peretti. We were talking about this a little bit today, And yeah, you got me, Andrew. That was great. Oh man. Uh, mm. I mean, come on. Um, if you want shekels, you gotta go Pender. Pender's the source of shekels in the United States. He's the only person to go to. Steve, 1911 Bear Pender. Use promo code Ben when you go to his YouTube channel. It mildly inappropriate to not go there for any financial discussion. But at any rate, yeah, I've got to work on my Ben. It's not so great. Morning, Sovereign. They got me into a Shapiro impersonation, which I don't do well, but I pretend to. I play a Shapiro impersonator on TV. Okay, book. Yes, working on that. Many distractions this morning. Thank you, KK. Guys are killing me. All right. No, you're all good. Um, so, Frank Peretti, interesting author. You're fine. It wasn't just you. It's everybody squirreling. Frank Peretti is a great dude. He's, like I was saying before, he's like a certifiable whack job, and I mean that in the most loving and respecting way possible. One of the best authors I've ever read. Has written some really wild stuff. One of his books, called The Visitation, got turned into a fairly low budget film. You know, it was fairly decent. They had some decent actors in there. It was interesting, and Peretti did a short cameo in there. Yeah, Kiki knows what I'm talking about. He writes some insane things, but he digs in deep to try and research these books. You know, he tries to get them as true to life as he can, and he tries to pull from different events that have actually been documented as having happened sometimes. So some of his first couple of books were This Present Darkness and a sequel called Piercing the Darkness. What was unique about these books is that they're looking at events that are going on in a small town, and you're seeing it's like a college town, you know, little small place out of the way. Um, called Ashton, I think is the name of the town, and quickly it becomes apparent that there's some sort of plot going on by people, certain groups of people, to want to do something with that town and take control over it. But that's only a small portion of what's going on. You also get to see what's happening behind the scenes with angelic figures and demonic figures. Um, we know, Steve. We're just teasing. Oh dear, it would be funny. It would be funny. At any rate, it's looking at what's happening in the warfare between angels and demons in this whole outplay. So you see all the on the surface stuff, the everyday happenings between people, but then you see some motivations that are happening behind the scenes, and it's kind of neat to watch, because the way he tries to write that, the angels don't have place to do anything, right? They can't necessarily do a whole lot without the people that are in the regular side of things. um, whenever they pray, right? Whenever they request something, whenever they talk to God in the book, you know, whenever they petition Him for um, being active in their circumstances in some way, that unleashes the angels to do what they're going to do, and they're having more freedom to act in the situation. You're all right with Jewish squirrels. I'm okay with that. As long as they wear yarmulkes, right, and have curly sideburns, then it's acceptable. I'm totally kidding. Um, but at any rate, so see, it's so easy for me to get taken off on this. The the demons, they're doing their business, and they have a limited ability to do things as well, but it grows because more and more people are willing to let them in a sense, and let them possess them, or at least let them play with their thoughts, you know, to inject thoughts and different things like that, and sort of influence the way people will act. So Really kind of interesting outplay. It's sort of a mystery. That's why I don't want to spoil everything if you ever decide to read it. But I have a couple recommendations. Obviously, either read or listen to the full thing, right? The actual book, or get the abridged version that Peretti reads because it's so funny. He does all the characters, voices for everybody, and they put voice modulators on it for the demons and stuff like that. It's pretty hilarious. It's cheesy because it was in the mid to late '80s when those were produced. Cheesy by our standards today, but I still enjoyed that. I listened to those as a kid, and I'll still listen to those when I can. They're some of my favorites. Um, yeah, absolutely. I think didn't Library in the Bear Cave, didn't Coddington make mention of that in his video recently that he wanted to have that up? Because if so, it has to happen. It's a must. At any rate, so Shayla Maiden, great to have you here. Great to see more bears in here. This is wonderful. By the way, if you're new to the channel, bring a friend, and get other people to come on in here. We'd love to see this grow. If you haven't been here too much before, my description pretty much lays it out. I'm a dad of 4. I'm a husband, and I am a professional drummer and music teacher. It's what I do. Yeah, Shade Bear's been here for sure. Where's Shade Bear? Is she in here now? Or he? I'm sorry. I don't want to misgender people. I probably will. I don't know who half of y'all really are. But some of you I do. So it's a good thing. I'd love to meet more of you. Maybe catch you in the hangouts. Oh, you're Shade. Okay. So you just changed it up. Gotcha. Interesting. Very cool. What made the change to Shayla? Is that your actual name? Or you can't say? um, oh, for sure, Squatting Thunder. I appreciate that. Yeah, my wife and I did that one, and you may have seen it in our. By the way, you're a moderator now, Squatting Thunder Bear. Yes, I've only done the one. My wife's done 2. And they're a blast. Yeah, we did it as part of the Wounded Warrior Project group when there were a bunch of other people who were affiliated with them and ran under their banner. So it was a cool day, really cool day. But yeah, you want more of that? Go check out episode 14. My wife and I talk a little bit more about our Tough Muttering. Maybe another one further back. It might have been episode 12. I might have talked a little bit more about that. At any rate. Yeah, for sure. Thanks, man. Or a woman. I don't know which any of y'all are. At any rate, so back to this. It gets really interesting in this book. It follows a pastor in this little town. You identify as a man, gotcha. This book follows a pastor named Hank Bush, seeing what's going on with him. He takes over this little church, and it's struggling, but there's already politics going on there to get him kicked out, that kind of thing. People are like putting graffiti on his house and trying to scare him and all that kind of jazz. It also follows a guy who had recently taken over the local newspaper. It was Hank Bush, and then Marshall. Wow, I haven't read this in a while. Marshall Hogan. Marshall Hogan was the guy's name. Sorry, you guys are killing me. It's still female. And I'm still Z, just so everybody knows. I'm just teasing. Anyway, so these characters are trying to figure out what's happening in town. They have some weird experiences. They notice some people that are hanging out together that normally you wouldn't see together. And it starts from there, little things nagging at them. So you see this push and pull kind of thing that's going on behind the scenes by the angels and demons in that whole deal, trying to help lead these folks to the right information from the angelic side. And on the other side, it's to try and cloud it and keep it as mysterious and as complacent as possible. I just randomly switch. That's too funny, Fred. Why am I bringing up this book? Why am I suggesting that it's a worthwhile read? Um, so one of the big things that this is talking about here is suggesting that there's a whole lot going on behind the scenes that you don't necessarily know about, right? And I've had some conversations with some bears recently. I've had some talks with some other people as well about this subject. That the universe we live in, um, it's divided up into about 10 different dimensions at least, right? Particle physicists have figured out that we're living in a universe of at a minimum 10 dimensions. And in fact, there was an ancient Hebrew commentator, Nachmanides, back in the 12 or 1300s, I think it was. He had written commentaries on books of the Bible, and specifically in Genesis, he'd been writing, and he concluded, based on the way that the opening chapters of Genesis are structured, that we live in a universe of at least 10 dimensions, right? Four of which are knowable, the others which are not knowable in his terms. That's how he put it. And then, 700, 800 years later, here we have particle physicists saying the same thing. Thanks to some of Einstein's discoveries, we're discovering that there's at least 10, maybe more, different dimensions in which space exists. For an example, some of the things that are talked about in the biblical texts, there are mentions that God rolls up the heavens like a scroll, or that he folds them like a tent curtain. If we're talking about open space, right, like the outer space, and you could say you can roll it up, right? That implies that there's a dimension in which it's thin, right? If we're talking about, let's say, empty space, all of the space that's out there beyond our planet, if that happens to be the case, because I don't know how physics works, in whole. There's tons of things I don't know yet, but let's just assume that you get beyond the atmosphere of this planet, you go out there, and there's outer space. If you can roll up the heavens like a scroll, and that's more than just a colorful metaphor, which it may very well be, then there's a dimension in which it's thin, and there's a direction toward which you would be rolling that which you're rolling. Are you following that? Oh, gotcha. Good to see you, Andrew. Yeah, I'm getting deep now. You start to get it to toroids. I don't know what toroids is. I'm not familiar with that. I definitely want to look that up, though. I'm curious now. So there's other dimensions that are implied by what we've been able to learn about this universe, and which again is small. But my bigger point is, if you roll the roll, you get a tor. Okay, all right. I think I am kind of remembering a little bit about that. I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, okay. That's what I was thinking. It's been a long time since I did geometry. You'd think I'd remember. So there's four dimensions in which we normally exist: height, width, depth, and time, right? And we can move around in those pretty fluidly, right? We how would I phrase that? We have time where we can't fully move around in, because we can move forward and we can look back, but we can't move back and look forward in time. Does that make sense? We can't move sideways or diagonal in time, at least as far as we know. We've not done that so much yet that it's been recorded. But we have fairly free move within those other three dimensions, right? So if there's at least 10 that have been figured out or inferred by mathematical means, that's at least 60% of the universe that we know nothing about, right? We don't really have an ability to understand, right? Oh, that's cool, Sovereign Bear. That's awesome. Well, that would help you know what a toroid is. So my point is just to say that the majority of the universe, as we can guess, probably the vast majority of it, we have little to no understanding of, right? We're like babies with a nuclear physics book or something like that. We understand next to nothing. What we do understand is wonderful. It's grown leaps and bounds from what we knew 150 years ago. But it's still infinitesimal in comparison to what's out there to know. And like in this book, This Present Darkness, these people, the characters that we see in there, they're always wandering around, going through their situations, not really realizing just what's going on their behalf or against them behind the scenes, right? There's intentional action going on related to them in dimensionality that they can't experience, they have no knowledge about. So if that's the case, right, if that might prove to be true, even if it's possible that it's true, how much more important is it for us to figure out how to get things right, to try and do things that are worthwhile, to try to do our best to figure out what would be worthwhile action, right? I'm not suggesting that you need to ascribe to my religious beliefs, though I might agree that that's probably in your best interest. But I also have to admit, if I'm intellectually honest, that I don't necessarily know everything that I believe is 100% true. I believe that it is, but I don't know that I can prove that to you scientifically. And I don't know that I would want to try. I think that it's important for each individual to go search that out for themselves. And the God that I tend to believe in is more than capable of presenting that to you if you're out looking for that information. So I don't feel that responsibility to try and wring someone's neck and convince them that my way of believing is the accurate one. But I do discuss it freely because it's a big part of my life. So the main principle that I'm suggesting here is what you see going on here is a small percentage of what's actually going on. And you have an active part, I would suggest, in seeing that even the stuff you can't see goes well. So how much more important now to live as though everything you think, say, and do is important. That's just the most broad macro message I can take out of a book like this. Plus, it's just fun. It's kind of like a whodunit. Like, how is this going down? How are the different conflicts going to get resolved? It definitely keeps you moving. Throughout the story. So it was a big fun deal for me. Hey, no problem, brother. Good to see you. Feel free to backtrack on this. We were talking about a pair of books. This one in particular, This Present Darkness by a guy named Frank Peretti. Probably one of my favorites of all time. If you can get it on Audible, I know they have it there, but I definitely keep your eyes peeled to see if you can get a copy of the abridged version read by Frank Peretti because it's so funny. It's pretty darn hilarious. So, at any rate, other things. This weekend was plenty nice. I was trying to get some things done, just relaxingly on Saturday and rest a little bit. Was trying to see if I could get this computer working. I went through trying to get the One Button Studio that Dom recommended to me, that app, to try and do some things with, and I still haven't gotten it figured out how to set it up right yet. Still working on that. Might try a couple others that I've looked at too. There's some other live streaming apps that will allow me to share pictures and videos with you and make the live streams a little more fun. Yeah, for sure, man. I've been doing that, and I'll continue to, but I'll for sure hang out you on some of that. Gonna get it working. Gonna make these streams more interesting. This needs to happen. I have no doubt. I was looking up some other stuff about it, and maybe I just need to set something else up different on here. I suspect your home computer, is it a Mac or is it a PC? Are you running on a Mac, or I didn't see what? Oh, custom. Very nice. Very nice. Well, you gotta have a MacBook Pro. They're kind of important. What are you having to say, Mayor? A couple verses that relate to what you were talking about. Colossians 23, whatsoever you do, do it heartily. Okay, yes, and not unto men, knowing that that of the Lord you shall receive the reward of inheritance, for you serve the Lord Christ. That's well put, Mayor. I like thinking that. I like that suggestion there, and I think that's largely true. I believe that I'm doing things that operate on a larger scale, and I can't possibly know how it all fits together. I can't possibly know how all these details operate. I sure as heck hope. If we're on a big ball, if it is a ball, I know I've had some conversations with Iron Bear lately, and he's convinced otherwise. whatever the case may be, I still lean toward ball. I still lean towards fear myself, but I understand other people feel differently. I'm not going to go total Dave Rubin and just agree with everybody either. But yeah, if this is in fact the case and it's spinning around at 1,000 miles an hour, I sure hope somebody's driving. You know, I would definitely hope that somebody knows what the heck is going on and how to keep it from spinning off into infinity. Um, but yeah, I mean, this is my work. Oh, you're killing me, dude. Oh, I love bears. It's so good to hang out with you guys. It's so much fun. Um, so this weekend I was relaxing, resting a little bit. I caught some of Steve's stream from the pool, and caught a little bit of some mayor's videos that I had missed out on recently. Caught back up with some of that, and that was a good deal. Uh, yeah, there you go. There you go. Good point. I like that, Dom. Hmm. Man. Interesting. Yeah, always reading the chats gives me fuel. It's a good thing. Um, so what we've been thinking about here this weekend. I had played at church on Sunday. I played drums for our church, and wanted to stream in there, but I wasn't getting enough data flow inside the building, so I thought I'd scrap it. It was just a little ridiculous. Maybe I'll be able to boost that up or find a way to get that better. So one of these Sundays when I'm out there, I can do that. But then I had a rehearsal with the Ashley Bean Band, one of the groups I work with, and I got a lead to have a rehearsal audition thing with another band called 3 Mile High that's in this area, and they're interested in working with me a little bit. So that's cool. You know, I wouldn't mind that at all. The Bean Band has also got some cool stuff coming its way. They just had an album release, so if you're interested in some good rock, ashleybeanband.net. You know, she's got the new album available for download, or you can buy a hard copy, and they're just getting that off the ground, selling like hotcakes. You know, she's doing some great stuff already. Of course, that's going all to her. I don't make anything from that because that pretty much the guitar player and her did all the music for that. That was finished, you know, done in the studio before I joined the band. So, um, yes, sir, you're absolutely correct, Mayor. Uh, oh, Kansas there. Um, let's see. So we took our time um, resting a lot over the weekend, and I had some videos that I wanted to get out. Wrestling with all these different technical issues was a bit of a pain in the behind, and so there's some stuff coming your way on here on YouTube and also on Instagram that is going to get out. Just have to iron out a couple little things with my older tech that doesn't exactly always function the way I want it to. Also, I'm planning on putting out a T-shirt pretty quick here. I'd like to show you some examples of it, but I had a cool little T-shirt idea. Thought it'd be fun to share with people that enjoy this stream, and maybe you can put it out there, share it around with other people, and let them know, hey, you guys got to go out check out this stream. You know, good gift idea. The Big Drum Bear T-shirt. But if you have any ideas or thoughts on T-shirts, you know people who've done T-shirt campaigns and things like that in the past, or you have thoughts on how I can make that better, before I go ahead and release that this week, feel free to share your thoughts in the actual comment section of this video. Like once it's done, once it's uploaded, because once it's in the live chat, I'll try to find it, but I'll probably miss out to search back through the whole thing. If you have a good thought on that, feel free, jot it down and pop it on the actual comment section of the video once it's done, because that'd be great. If I have some links later that I can post for where you can get a little snippet, listen to some of the Frank Peretti version of this book. Definitely do that. I was mentioning earlier, yeah, if you want to check out an interesting Christian horror film, it's called The Visitation. And it's also another book written by Frank Peretti. Edward Furlong from Terminator 2 and Pet Sematary. He stars as the bad guy in this film. So, or maybe he's a bad guy, maybe he's a good guy. I don't want to spoiler it too much, maybe one much. Um, but yeah, definitely an interesting idea. A lot of fun stuff. Oh, Randy Travis is in that one. That's who else I forgot. Yeah, he plays a pastor, a Pentecostal pastor, in that Emner film, and doesn't do a half bad job. It's not a high budget film, but it's a little higher quality than a lot of the quote unquote Christian entertainment that's been around for many many years. It's a little bit of a step up. So I think that film was actually in the theater. Like it actually aired, and this is back in the days when there was no Fireproof, there was none of that Kirk Cameron business floating around or any of those other kind of films. So it was before that, and I'd say the quality is pretty decent. It was definitely a little creepy, but I don't know. I don't know what some people's level of tolerance for horror films is. Some people have seen a lot more graphic and gruesome stuff. Um, let's see, what does squatting say? It's on the feelings of the mother. She's dead. You assume she was feeling like she was. Let's see. Feelings about this couple cells are negative and she can kill it without repercussions because feelings. Oh man. The conversations you guys have in these chats, I'm serious, man. I love it. I absolutely love how you guys interact on here. Let's see. I want to say big thanks to everybody thus far. Yeah, feel free to share t-shirt ideas or thoughts that you think would be cool. I'm thinking of having like a good picture taken. Well, yeah, Exorcist scared the crap out of me too. I didn't even see it until about a year or two ago. I think it was last year. Last year was the first time I actually saw Exorcist all the way through. Um, let's see here. So, yeah, trying to make sure I keep my train of thought. Feel free to share that. I'm thinking of taking a picture with all of the dogs in the canoe. Maybe my pretty lady bear pops in there somehow too. And then making the picture a little more artsy, doing something to it so it's got a different effect to it. Probably have to make it, monotone, maybe a sepia or black and white, just because that's going to be cheaper. And the cheaper I can make the shirt, the cheaper it will cost, long run, because the profit margin's not going to be a lot. It's going to be about 25%, of the total cost. That's about it. But yeah, I try to make things affordable. But yeah, feel free to tell plenty of people, hey, you want a cool t-shirt, go check out Big Drum Bear. But I want to make it a really cool shirt where people would want to have it. Kind of like the Crowder people spent some time working on that hand-etched mug, right? We want to have good quality stuff here. And people over at Teespring, that's the best one that I know about right now. If you guys know of other t-shirt campaign websites where you can do that and you don't have to put all the upfront cost to make it happen, feel free to let me know about that. I'd love to know more. But you guys know all kinds of stuff that I don't know, and I appreciate that. I always love learning from people. I wasn't planning on playing guitar today, but I thought I'd pick it up for a little bit. I'm going to hit that A properly. You don't want to miss your notes. Victor Wooten, famous bass player that I've spoken about before, in his book, The Music Lesson, he talks about there's only 12 notes, right? And to be in a key, in any particular key that you're supposed to be playing a song in, you're only ever a half step away from the right note. right? You can get back in that key by just moving up or down half step and you'll be right there. So sometimes you can fake it a little bit, but there I don't think I faked it too well. I just had to admit, yeah, I missed that. Playing a little bit of a song there from a group called Lost and Found, and it's called Baby. MDGA. Make Dom great again. Give him a wrench. You got it here. Oh my goodness. Make drums great again. That was the t-shirt idea. Gotcha. It took me a second. Just before you texted that, I figured it out. Make drums great again would be a good one. I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. I think that needs to happen. If I get a Make Drums Great Again t-shirt, I would hope some people will be behind that and they'd put it out there, because I will totally make that. Absolutely. And you know what? That's one cool way to make the channel grow, where not only can you wear that with pride, but you can also give it as a gift and let that pride reign, especially for a leftist. I think leftists would really massively appreciate that, because you know how much they love music. You know how much they think art is super important to be expressive with. So make drums great again. Let's make it happen. That's gonna go. We need a hat too. A hat would probably be the most important, but we'll see what we can do. Symbolism, very nice. Let's see. Absolutely mad lad. Oh my gosh. You guys are so funny. So yeah, it's a little more laid back stream today. I'm definitely wanna get those links up. What am I thinking? I was gonna talk a little bit more about theory today. So once I picked up the guitar, I didn't actually plan on doing it, but I'd try to play along, but I'm having a bad back day. I understand, Mayor. Yeah, you gotta take your time on that stuff, man. That's kind of important. I've had that problem too. Years ago, I had real bad lower back problems, and actually, my doctor, my general practitioner, he actually is trained in acupuncture, and he recommended that. I was really surprised because I haven't had a lot of people recommend that. And he's like, look, we've got over 5,000 years, or I don't know if it's 5,000, it's several thousand years is what he said, of evidence that this works, right? Using some of these different Chinese methods has been effective in different ways. We don't understand why it works yet, but we just know that it works. There's still debates on the merits of hows and whys, but we just know that it works. So yeah. Sometimes chiropractors are a little more willing to go that route. And, there've been people who've said negative things about chiropractors because there's been quiet chiropractors, but there's also been some really intelligent people that understand that the central nervous system is kind of a really important part of your entire body. And if you learn how to make it not work against you, then you're in great shape. An inversion table. Yes. Had a chiropractor that used to do Palmer method stuff on me and would flip me over and do that kind of stuff on an inversion table, and it worked. Got things set right. Things are in order. You're totally fine, but I don't mind mentioning that. This show is all about squirrels and catching them, but then we'll catch right back up and get back into playing some decent guitar. So, I want to talk today about diatonics, right? What is diatonics? So, we're going to talk about this here. The key of C major, right? The C major scale. We've talked about that a few times. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Hey, Nick. What is up? Mr. Nick Town is in the house. We're glad to have you. You're always welcome, early or late. That's the nice thing about these live streams. I'm not going to give you a tardy slip, right? And and it's also nice that you can catch this later at your own leisure. You may not get to be as much part of the live chat, but yeah, you can totally enjoy the party later on. That is a great thing about it. Yeah, absolutely, Mayor. We want to see that improve. That was what I was going to get to on that too. And thank you for saying so, Sovereign Bear. We definitely want Pray that you get back into health, and that you're hopefully it's not immobilizing you too much. But yeah, to be able to sit and hold your guitar properly while that's going on is not a good thing, especially for drumming. It's bad. So I empathize. All right, C major scale. Diatonics involves using, let's see here. Let's talk about what they call the 7 modes of Western music, right? Often called the church modes. So diatonic chord progressions flow from this, right? We're going to get to that as the end goal here. And we're not going to take too much longer. I'm going to spend about 10-15 minutes and then we're going to be done for today. So many of you that want to squirrel the fudge out of me. I love it. When you play a scale like, say, C major, any major scale for that matter, if you start on the first note of that scale, you're going to have that major scale. But if you start on the second note of that scale and use only the notes from that scale, it's going to give you a very different sound. We're going to start from D, right? That's tougher to do here. D, E, F, G, A, A, B, C, D. So I just played the C major scale, but I started at D, right? I started at the second note of the scale. It made the scale have a very different sound because the C major scale sounds bright and happy. The old Greek name for this pattern of notes, this starting at the root note and going up a whole step, another whole step, and a half step, and then 3 more whole steps and a half, that's what we call the Ionian mode, right? The major scale is also called the Ionian mode. Mayer's right, Locrian is one of them, which I'm going to get to. It's not as commonly played, but it is one of these 7. What I just played after that, starting from the D, or the second note of any major scale pattern, that's the Dorian mode. So if you compare the pattern of the Ionian and the Dorian modes, Ionian is the major mode, right? Dorian would be the next one in sequence. You can take any major pattern, any major scale pattern, right, and just lower the 3rd and the 7th notes of that scale a half step, right? So it'd be the same as if I played C major and I lowered the 3rd and the 7th a half step. So it would be, instead of C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, it would be C, D, E flat, F, G, A, B flat, C, right? That's your C Dorian mode, right? Or C Dorian scale, essentially. That's how that works out. But I played D Dorian earlier, so that was D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. How that works. Now, we'll start on the 3rd note of the C major scale and only use notes from the C major scale. So it was E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. That's what we call the Phrygian mode, right? So to compare Phrygian with the Ionian, right? We'll play C major and then we'll play C Phrygian. Sounds bright and happy, right? C Phrygian would be, instead of C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, it'd be C, D, excuse me, C, D flat, no, sorry, I'm playing it wrong. C, D flat, E flat, F, G, A, whoa, I forgot that. C, E flat, I'm trying to remember how that goes. C, D flat, E flat, F, G flat, A flat, B flat, C. There's your C Phrygian. Hi, bye, Dom. Encouragement, boom. Yeah, this is getting a little musical here, so enjoy, man. C Phrygian. So you'd have a C and a D flat and an E flat and an F and a G, then an A flat, B flat, and a C. So you've lowered the second, third, sixth, and seventh notes, right? If you're playing as regular major pattern, just lower the second, third, sixth, and seventh notes a half step. That'll give you a Phrygian mode, right? Let's move on to a nicer and a happier one, where we start from the fourth scale degree of C major. And only use notes from the C major scale. We're starting with F, which is the fourth. F. So, starting from the F, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, right? So, and I know you're not totally seeing how my fingers play this. Wow. Yeah, I don't think I ever learned that one, Steve. I don't think they taught me eat a dead guppy to remember the notes on the staff. Oh my goodness. You guys are cracking me up. Yep, that is how to, yes, your strings, I should say. It also works for bass, right? Because the bass guitar is essentially the same as the violin in that way. E, A, D, and G. Same as these first four notes on the guitar. Here's your E, A, D, and G. Same deal. Eat a dead guppy. But I'm not going to. So let's see here. That was what we call the Lydian mode, when you start at the F. F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. Right? So how is this comparing to the Ionian mode? Let's go back to C major, right? Let's play C Lydian now, right? C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C. So it's the same as C major, except we raised C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C. We raised the F up a half step, the fourth note of that scale. So any major scale you play, if you take the fourth note of that scale and raise it a half step, you've now got a Lydian mode of any scale you try it with. Only works with majors to make this change, right? You can't play it in C minor and raise the fourth note a half step, and now it's a Lydian. You're still got that lowered third, sixth, seventh, so that's gonna make it a really weird mode. It's gonna be a weird scale overall. Who's that? Oh, Shayla Main's back. Cool. Oh, Kodiak's here. That's right. I did see Kodiak pop in. So, we've done Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, and Lydian. Those are the first four we dealt with. Ionian, it's just as we talked about. Starting at the root note, go up a whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. There's your Ionian mode. Now, you base everything else off that. Dorian, it's the same as Ionian, except you lower the third and the seventh notes a half step. Phrygian would be like Ionian, except that you lower the second, third, sixth, and seventh notes a half step. Lydian, same as Ionian mode, except you raise the fourth note a half step, right? So you're tracking with that? Is that making sense? This is the basics of modes, which then allows us to figure out how we create chords out of all this, right? And maybe we'll save the chords part for tomorrow, but I wanted us to get an understanding of the 7 modes, right? And then you're going to have an ability to build your own songs. When you go back and look at the other videos where I've talked about the major scale, and then the different chord types, the triads, and even 7 chords, right? When you figure out how all those fit together, then you figure out how this modes stuff works, and now you can start forming these chords together, right? And one of these days, we'll probably even delve into circle of fifths a little bit and get some of the foundation of that. But it's really just an extra thing. You don't need to know that. It just sort of corresponds to what we're talking about here. Yeah, didn't hit that note. Anyway, the next mode in sequence would be the Mixolydian, right? It's also fairly simple. It's only got one change to it, just like the Lydian did. So let's see, starting from the G. So we only use notes that are in the C major scale. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, right? But I'm starting from the G, right? Starting from this G here. G is the fifth note. G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So G mixolydian. In a major scale would probably be the F sharp, right? That would give us that full major sound. So let's play C Ionian. Now C mixolydian. So we just lowered the seventh. You have the same as the major scale, right? The Ionian mode, except in the mixolydian, you lower that seventh. So in this case, it was a B flat instead of a B. That's the one difference to the whole scale, right? Between Ionian and mixolydian. Got two left, the Aeolian and the Locrian. We'll talk about those two. These are all names of like ancient Greek tribes, right? Tribal families and stuff. And somehow they became associated with these different groupings of notes. And it hasn't been exactly like that throughout history. I'm sure there were variations and differences, but at some point it was codified or written down that these were the basic groupings of notes that were going to, oh, the image is probably reversed. I am not playing left-handed, no. It isn't usually, is it? Usually I don't experience that, but I guess today it is, and I don't know why that's the case. Usually it sets it right for me. I don't know. Usually it turns it around the way that I'm accustomed to seeing it. But at any rate, that's fine. Backwards image, we'll deal with that. Yeah, I am getting that mirror effect, so we'll fix that for next stream because I don't tend to like that. Yeah, it's still backwards, isn't it? And it did that in the, hey Bisky, welcome. I almost didn't see you. And that's never acceptable. The thumbnail, it did that too. I should have gotten the clue there. I don't know. I'm used to it doing it front ways because I don't always put the camera backwards like this. I use it where I do it where I can see what the heck's going on. Like I thought when my wife and I did our thing the other day that we weren't backwards. You know, it filmed us properly. But maybe when it puts it up, when it puts the video up after this, it'll be flipped around. I don't know. It might still be reversed. We'll see. So let's finish up this last couple scales here, a couple modes, right? Here is the Aeolian mode. We're going to start from the A. C, D, E, F, G, A, right? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. There's your Aeolian mode, A. And let's compare that to C Ionian. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Here's C Aeolian. C, D, E flat, F, G, A flat, B flat, C. So it's the third, excuse me, and the sixth and the seventh notes that should be brought down a half step, right? Third, sixth, and seventh notes that get brought down a half step. So I'm just noticing chats. You guys are cracking me up. So that's Aeolian mode, right? Same as Ionian, same as the major scale, except you lower the third, sixth, and seventh notes a half step, and you get that minor, that what they also call the natural minor mode, right? Aeolian is your natural minor sound scale. For any major scale, you apply the Aeolian mode to it, you get the natural minor. So, guys are killing me. All right, our last one, the craziest one, Locrian, right? Locrian's interesting because we're actually going to lower 5 different notes a half step. That's what makes it a little tough. So, we'll start from the B. that note right there. Yeah, there we go. Now let's see. B, C, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. Try it one more time. No. Yeah, that's better. Yep. There's your Locrian. Now let's do it in C, right? So C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Let's do C Locrian. So your 4 should be the same. So C Locrian, you've lowered the 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 6th, and 7th notes, right? So you had C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Now you've got C, D flat, E flat, F, G flat, A flat, B flat, C. So the 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 6th, and 7th notes lowered. That's your 7 basic modes or major modes, right? We took the C major scale and we started from each note within that scale, still only using the notes of that scale, right? So that gives us these 7 modes. And it's crazy. I'm not playing any different notes. I've just changed the order that the notes are played in, right? And that changes how that group of notes hits our ears and emotionally how it feels. Now, in the Catholic Church, in the Roman Catholic Church back in centuries past, the way they would order their service to try and lead people emotionally through different stages of what the service was supposed to be about, each section of the service would have music that was taken from a particular mode, right? And some modes felt brighter and happy, like Ionian or Lydian. But some modes felt a little darker, you know, like Dorian or Aeolian, you know. I don't know how often Locrian was used, but it certainly could be. Yeah, it was very interesting to learn more about how, I've always wanted to learn more about the history of modes and how those came to be. Our system of music and how we got that available to us now, the way we create music today and how that came to us is phenomenally interesting to me. I don't know, is phenomenal a descriptor of level or quality? I just think it's phenomenal and interesting. So those are 2 separate descriptors, but I put them together. So there, it's my live stream. And thanks for all the likes. I do appreciate that a lot. It's super cool, guys. So if you want to learn more about how to understand a musical instrument, doing some more homework on modes and how they work, my explanation, hopefully that's helpful. It was a little slow. Of course, I'm squirreled and things like that get in the way. But there's plenty of other people who might talk more about it and have more depth about that subject. But it's something as simple as the way things are ordered and the way they're presented to us that can affect us, right? Things behind the scenes that we can't see. I wasn't planning on connecting modes and this present darkness, but they seem to connect in the way I was talking about it. It's these little things that happen in the air as they hit our ears. Just the way these things are organized that affect us, right? You're going to listen to a song that's majorly played in a minor mode. It's going to sound a lot more sad than a song that's played in a bright, happy mode. You look at that skit of Owen's about men and women, and the caveman guy was like, I'm playing Chariots of Fire, you know, running to go and eat the berries off that tree or kill that animal or get with this other woman other than the mate that I've got. And then you've got this soap opera music, which I think he said was taken from some classical piece. Oops, sorry, I kicked my camera tripod. I'm glad you're getting a theory refresher course. That's what I'm happy to see. Yeah, I want to compare when I do that everything to the major scale, because most people have reference to a major scale. That's an easy pattern to understand, and it's very commonly used. Once you understand the major scale pattern, everything flows out from that super easily, right? Makes things a lot easier. Tomorrow, maybe I'll spend a little bit of time talking about how you build chords out of that. But for now, I want to head out because I want to go spend some time with my beautiful lady before she goes off to walk dogs. And I really appreciate everybody coming in here and spending a little time. I think there'll be a little more energy and a little less squirreling permitted tomorrow. Get a little bit more talked about. But I love you guys. Thanks again so much for making this channel great. Make drumming great again. Build the chords. It'll be a large concrete wall of just chord. That'd be so great if there was like a section of the border wall that was going to have like music theory concepts just written out on it. I know there's some museum where there's these art projects somebody put together, and it's actually like little pieces of music, but they're written in bizarre. Applebaum, I think, is it Mark Applebaum? There's a TED talk on this guy, and he's different. He's out there, but he talks about how these pieces of art were put out there and in this art gallery in certain periods of time throughout the week. Musicians would be allowed to come in and try and interpret these bizarre, abstract types of writing down of music. And it would be interesting to see just like the fundamentals of music theory written out on one slab of the wall somewhere. And you can come and check that out. Musicians can come and hang out. And you can have musicians on both sides of the wall, hanging out, playing, different stuff like that. You can have other artful things put along the wall. And I'm telling you, that tourism, that'll pay for that wall right there. But I'm a racist, obviously, because I'm great again. Love you guys. Peace, bears.